being here with us. We're so glad to have you here in Belgium, or heroes coming from Belgium. Again, maybe a round of applause for Ellis to show. Woo! This place is massive. It is. Yes, and Belgium is a very small country, but we have massive.
This is bigger than Belgium, this room. This is crazy.
Is it your first time in Belgium?
It's my first time in IMAX. It's not my first time. My first time in Belgium, I was 6 years old, and my parents, being the parents that they were, we were towing a caravan to Hungary. Yeah, and we stopped in a few places, and Belgium was one of them. But I've never been to Brussels before, so it's very lovely to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you say it's work? Would you say it's all fun? Or is it like 50-50? What's your relation to social media? Because you have 9 million followers, I think.
Something like that, yeah. It's interesting. So I think I'm Gen X, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm Gen X, which means social media doesn't come naturally to me. It's something that I was encouraged to take part in when it first started to gain momentum. So probably about 10 years ago. And you know, we were encouraged as actors on the show that I was doing to use social media to engage with the audience, and it was a new way of advertising, I suppose, a new way of kind of interacting. Obviously, on the show I can't name, but the show that we know, I have been a recipient of the very positive side of social media, in that the show did a few seasons, then it was cancelled, and then social media was what saved us. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. It was an incredibly overwhelming experience to have that amount of positivity coming in our direction. On a personal level, since then, whilst I appreciate social media for what it is, I also feel that it can be negative as well, and I think that can be quite difficult for people. And I think that it's not a natural thing for me to do. If I'm having a nice time in life, I don't think, oh, I need to just get my phone and show people. I'd rather be present in the moment. But at the same time, there are many people, my wife included, who use it very differently. And I appreciate that. But I just think it's something that I have a sort of love-hate relationship with it. I love it for all the positive things we just talked about, and I'm quite happy to never look at it again.
Well, life is a contradiction.
Exactly. I think again, I became popular through the show that I was doing, and I think that having met so many fans of the show over the last few years, it's been very apparent that it's a show that reaches so many different people, so many different age groups. And I think like the most refreshing thing for me to hear is when people say, oh, I love your show, I watch it with my mum, or I watch it with my grandma, I watch it with my granddad, I watch it with my brother, with my sister. It feels like a show that people don't necessarily always watch on their own. They share it with people, and multi-generational as well. And I can't give you an exact answer as to why that is, but there aren't a lot of shows like that. And so I think that that's, again, I've had a very positive response because of that, because it is so far-reaching, and it does have a kind of a broad spectrum of fans.
Did you feel that right away, that it was very broad, or did it take time?
I think it took a little bit of time to build up, but and it's continual. It continues to grow, the fan base, and it's always lovely to meet new fans that have come to the show. But yeah, it's been a momentum from the start, and I think certainly when we went onto Netflix, that momentum really started to build, because it was being seen by so many people around the world at the same time, and they were all on the same page as opposed to, in the olden days, you'd make a show, and then a few years later that show would get shown in a different country, and those people would be far behind on the storytelling. But when you're in something that everyone's watching at the same time across the world, it's quite overwhelming actually. If you're playing like an actual figure from real life, a historical figure for example, then I think it's really important to do research, and it's really important to get a sense of who that person was and how they were perceived in the world amongst their peers and things like that. So it just depends, but I think research is always a very important thing for actors to do.
And about those characters that people are familiar with, whether it's from the Bible or from the comic book, or from elsewhere, we hear in those conversations that characters come again and then absorb current themes, current debates. What's your take on this? Because sometimes it's really divisive of like the protection of an idea we have of a character, and then the enjoyment of saying, I've never looked at it this way. Like, what's your take on that whole conversation?
I mean, I understand why people get protective of certain characters, because ultimately that's what you fall in love with. I mean, if you take someone like James Bond, for example, right, everyone's got their favourite Bond.
Which would be your...
Sean Connery, obviously. But, you know, and I'm sure there were people, when Sean Connery was no longer James Bond, had lots of things to say about the next one, and again the next one. People feel very kind of locked into their kind of vision of something, or the vision that's appeared for them. You know, playing the devil, there was many incarnations of film and TV devils, and I didn't like think of any in particular that I really wanted to kind of like set my kind of stall on, apart from Peter Cook in Bedazzled, an old movie with Dudley Moore. And there was something about Peter Cook and his cheekiness and his delivery that I was like, that's the kind of sweet spot for me. And that really kind of resonated with the material that I was reading as well. So, you know, you're never going to please everybody, especially if you're playing a part that people think they already know. But it's always nice to surprise people. I always think it's interesting to take a character and make them relevant to either present day or the time that you're trying to, you know, talk about the way your story is set.
That Peter Cook character became Elizabeth Hurley in a remake years after, so that was a big surprise, I guess.
Absolutely.
Some people really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I like Elizabeth Hurley, but not for that.
I wonder again about, I'm going to take you back to Belgium. Do you know Tintin?
I know Tintin, yeah. I mean, I don't know him that well, but I know he's not a dog called Snowy. Yeah.
What would be your take on Tintin if tomorrow you had to start working on the show about him?
Well, I'm too old to play it now, surely.
That would be your pleasure.
I don't know, really. What would be I don't know. I don't know how I would approach that. Again, I'd look at his hair colour and go, well, I'd have to go blonde again and get a little flick at the front.
How about going blue? Do you know the Smurfs?
Well, the Smurfs have blue hair? Or is it... They're all the skin's blue, but they wear white hats. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd go for that. I could blue up for you.
So I feel like we should talk about the strike. Obviously, it's been going on for a few months now.
Yeah.
And without going into the specifics of this show or that project, how has your life, your professional life, changed since it started?
Well, I'm not working. My wife isn't working. My wife is a writer and a member of the WGA. So there's two.
Also striking.
The WGA, the Writers Guild on strike, and SAG on strike, the Screen Actors Guild. It's changed in so much as we've had some time to spend with each other, which has been lovely. But in terms of, you know, professionally, it's just very strange. Especially like very soon after COVID and lockdown, it felt like the world was getting its momentum back, or certainly our world was getting its momentum back. And then again, it stopped, and it feels a very similar feeling at times of like, oh, what am I going to do today? That being said, I think it's really important. I don't, you know, obviously striking is a last resort. No one ever wants to strike. But in this particular instance, it's the only thing we could do, and it's the only way to be listened to. And so, you know, it's been, I'm sure, frustrating for you know, people in the audience not being able to talk about things like this and talk about shows properly, and it's been frustrating for you know, us about just wanting to go to work and make things. It's been hard on our crews who rely on, you know, the industry to make their living and rely on it much more on a week-to-week basis. And so it's been tough, but I think there is a general understanding amongst anyone who works within the industry that this had to happen in order to get, I hate saying get what we wanted, because that sounds like it's a selfish want. I think get what's fair, finally fair. And I think that that's, you know, what we're all doing it for.
About the strike, some actors have voiced their will to play along, but like some criticism. But we've seen you on the big time. Like, do you talk about the strike a lot with your fellow artists and actors?
Absolutely, for sure. No, I mean, we're all striking, so it's like all we talk about. And I think one thing that's really interesting about it is that it finally, people don't talk about money an awful lot. Like, it was always something that you were taught not to talk about. What are you earning for this and what are you earning for that? And actually, it forced us to get together and talk about those things. There was a sort of a collective understanding of sometimes you think you've been hard done by, and when you realise that it's not just you and it's happening across the board, that was something that sort of solidified and unified people as well. And yeah, I think, you know, it's a common theme amongst many of my peers, the same struggles that we have, or the same things that we believe would be fair.
There might also be the sense that there might be an opportunity there of, like, not only gaining what's fair, but also saying, like, maybe we can think about the future of this industry, because it's been changing. You mentioned it. It's been changing so much. What do you hope for the future?
Well, I think one of the reasons that this is happening now is that the industry really took a big change probably about 7 or 8 years ago with the introduction of streaming. And streaming has been both wonderful in terms of, you know, it's changed TV and film. We can watch things on our home as and when we want to, and there's so much more out there being made. But as a business model, what works for the streamers, for the big companies making these things, doesn't work for the people that are making things. And so, moving forward, I think the understanding is that streaming is here and it's here to stay. So acknowledging that, and acknowledging that streaming is no longer just watching things on YouTube, which basically the contracts are archaic in that sense. When we talk about like making TV and film, it's still under the same guise as if you made something for YouTube, and that's what's being sorted out at the moment. It's something, again, like I said, it has to happen, but it's happening now in order to create a new set of rules moving forward, and those rules had to be changed, basically.
Thank you.
Why did I choose this shirt today?
And what does that mean also? We don't want to know.
Well, I'm sure, as some people will know what the shirt means, it was a text message that my character sent another character on the show that I'm not talking about. And so, the flaming sword cut a hole in space and time. Mum, I can't remember that bit. You get the gist. Yeah. That's what it is. But yes, it's the only kind of t-shirt I could wear. Yeah. Because it's in code. You get me?
I get you.
Okay.
So, the cube has found a new person. Please ask your question.
Speaking to the cube.
Do you have any tips for someone who's struggling?
A bit louder, just a bit louder.
Sorry. Do you have any tips for someone who is struggling with who they are and what to become?
Gosh. Well, I think understanding that as humans we have lots of things that are sort of common denominators amongst us. The most important thing to remember is that we all, within that, have our own unique quality. And no one else possesses that uniqueness. And we spend a lot of time in life comparing ourselves to people and wanting what the other person has and wanting this and wanting that. I think if you can really find out and really appreciate what your own unique quality is and what you have to offer the world, and believe me, we all have something to offer the world, whatever people might tell you, we all have something to offer, then that is the most important thing. Finding out what you are, being proud of what you are, and then you can put that out.
Next question. Does somebody have the mic, the cube mic? Yes, please.
I wanted to ask you what.
A bit louder again.
Okay, what did you think about the last seasons of Lucifer?
Oh, please, we're gonna move to another question. I'm really sorry. Do you have another question?
I've never heard of it. Okay, maybe not.
Do you have another question in mind that you want to ask? Or maybe we can move to the next one. Okay. So let's move.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so sorry about that. There we go.
Hi!
Oh no! You found the center of the cube, haven't you?
First of all, you're an amazing actor. I just wanted to tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you. I just wanted to ask you, since you kind of put it in the spirit, would you recommend, not recommend, would you maybe consider playing James Bond on the next movies?
Would I consider it?
Would you consider it?
Well, if they asked me, of course I would. I can't imagine a world in which I get a phone call going, they're thinking about you, so what do you think? And I go, do you know what? I, of course, if I was privileged enough to be put in that position, I think that I would seriously take about 10 seconds before saying yes. There you go. Would I recommend myself though? Yes, I would do that.
Next question from Brian. Here we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Today is Bisexual Visibility Day, so national holiday for me. And I wanted to thank you for your representation of bisexuality in the past show. It made me embrace it again, so thank you so much for that. So I wanted to ask you, has it been difficult for you in the first place? How do you think about it? And then afterwards, did you realize that that certain show would have such an impact on the LGBTQ community?
Yeah, thanks. Do you know what? I didn't really register how impactful that would be for people. And then I started getting contacted by lots of people within the LGBTQ plus community saying thank you for the positive representation. You know, I think the fact that I didn't think about it too much sort of speaks volumes really, because you know, as an actor I want to play whatever part, and I want to play that part as truthfully as possible. And so for that character, that was truthful, and for a character character to be someone who embraces that and, you know, wants to just be completely open about that to people, and for it not even to be a thing, right? Not even to be thought of as an othered person because of that, I think was more powerful than I thought about at the time. But I'm absolutely delighted, you know, that we did have that reaction to it, and you know, I love that. I hate to talk about it like a community, but I love all of my LGBTQ+ friends and family. You know, I don't think of it like that, which sounds strange, but I don't think of it as an other community in my head. Although I do, of course, appreciate that society doesn't work like that. I think that we are lucky enough to live in a world now where there are conversations that happen that never happened before. Where there is, you know, my kids are growing up in a world where they have conversations at school about things that we didn't have words for things like that when I was growing up. You know, we didn't have words for like people who were trans, for example. You know, or people who didn't want to be identified particularly by any gender conforming thing. We didn't have words for that. And I think it's amazing now in the world that we do have a vocabulary, and it's an ever-growing vocabulary, and therefore, ergo, understanding of, you know, how people are when they're not forced into a corner by conforming to society or what we know society to be. There you go.
Hi, Mr. Ellis.
Hello.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll give you my top 3 in no particular order. Okay. Shawshank Redemption.
Woo!
Which I love hope. I think hope is a wonderful quality, and I think that is the ultimate film about hope. The original Mary Poppins. And the last one might be a bit controversial, but Sister Act 2, Back in the Cabin. I've seen it so many times. I always cry. I always cry when I'm watching that film. In exactly the same moment, all the time, it always gets me.
What moment?
In the moment, okay. So you know in the competition at the end, and Lauryn Hill comes on to start the solo bit, and they play that the pianist plays that bit, and you think she's about to start, and then you see her mum come in, and she's obviously lied to her mum about being, and her mum doesn't want to be a singer, her mum wants to get a proper job, and then she starts eventually to sing, and you just see that emotion flood through her mum, and just Lauryn Hill's got the most incredible voice ever. It gets me every time. Like, music is a big part of my life. Gospel music is something that has always really kind of like made the hair on my arms go up, like they have done now. And something about that film, the first time I watched it, it's always stuck with me. I know it's not a perfect film, but it means a lot to me. So that's the reason.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hi, so this means a lot to me. It's so stressful, but I never thought I'd had the chance to ask you anything. But I love you so much. Like, your character means a lot to me. Lucifer is a huge comfort character for me. But like, how do you keep following your dreams? Do you have any tips on that?
How do you keep following your dreams? I mean, well, no one else is going to follow them for you. You know, but they're your dreams. So how do you keep going for it? You know, that's up to you. You've got to find a way. Like, if it's your dream and you really think that it's something that's possible, then you have to go for it. I think the hardest thing in life is shutting out the noise from other people and people that will be negative about things you want to be positive about. And I think that's the hardest thing. And if you can find a way to quiet those voices, then that will really help you in your pursuit. There you go. Okay, I think I understand the question, and I understand what it is you truly desire. I think we should leave it at that before I get in trouble.
Next question. There we go.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
We talked about your favorite movies. What's your favorite music?
My favourite music?
Yes.
Well, my favourite band?
Favorite band.
Oh my goodness me. I think that's such a tough question. I love, because I grew up with such an eclectic kind of taste in music. I was part of orchestras. My mum and dad listened to classical music all the time. We didn't really have much like rock and roll or pop music in our house growing up. So, I mean, it goes right through from like Mozart through to, I don't know, AC/DC. It's crazy. But I think if I was going to like have one band that I could listen to for the rest of my life, it would probably be Queen.
Next question. Where is it? It's over there.
Hi. First, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed Belgium and all of the years and all that. My question is, as an European, how it is living in America? What do you struggle with? What do you miss?
Culture.
Sorry.
They are so different. Here's the thing, right? America is a country, except it's not. It's 50 different countries, much like Europe, right? And Europe has got all these different countries, and we've all got our, our way of doing things and our way of being, and that's what America's like. So, no one place is the same in America, as no one place is really the same in Europe. What do I miss? Certainly when I'm in Los Angeles, I miss things like architecture, because LA is a really new city still, it's kind of like 1890 or something like that. I live in a house that's 1920 in LA, and people go, oh my god, your house is so old. And I go, yeah, not really. So, coming from the UK or coming from Europe, I'm so used to seeing like old buildings and old architecture, and a story in a place of like how it's shifting over time. So certainly miss that. I certainly miss banter when I'm in America. They don't banter very well. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Like,
How would you describe it though?
well, certainly in the UK, banter is just about it's about repartee, it's about going back and forward, and it's just, you're not necessarily talking about anything, you're just trying to be funnier and whimsical and, punning on words and things like that. And I think America is a much more literal place, which, is both good and bad. But yeah, I think things like taking the piss out of people without them getting upset. That would be, it's a very British thing to do. In America, I've got in trouble a few times because people don't know that I'm taking the piss. It's funny. I'll tell you what I find funny is Canada is a really funny country because it's got European sensibilities and a kind of European sense of humour, but they've got an American accent, right? And so Americans are super confused about Canadians. They think they're the most passive-aggressive race in the world. But if I were to say the same thing in a British accent, they go, oh my god, you're so charming! So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's funny. They're very, very different places. But yeah, I think the kind of deep cultural elements of the things I missed.
Yeah. I think 3 more questions, two more questions, short ones. 1, 2.
Yes.
We have one question here.
Hello.
Hello.
So thank you for coming, and thank you so much for your words about the LGBTQ community. It means a lot. Since you're in Belgium, I was wondering if you've had the opportunity to try our
here chocolate fries, since they are the best. Of course, you have to try. And how they compare to the food in America, because
Okay, so I've only been here since I got here last night. So I haven't had beer or chocolate or fries yet. But I'm planning on having that for dinner tonight. But I do, you know, I am a beer person, and I've obviously had my fair share of Belgian beer in the past. Belgian chocolate, I certainly have sampled. Belgian fries, I'm very much looking forward to, because I have heard that they are the best. Are they called Belgian French fries? Are they just Belgian fries?
That's a weird name.
Okay, so just fries. We'll stick with fries.
In the right spots. That ask around.
Okay.
One last question.
And how does it compare to American food? I don't even get there, but
Sorry.
American food, it's great. There's just a lot of it. Okay.
Okay, we have our last question over. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, sorry for my English because it's really bad, but my question is, when we were kids, did you thought about being an actor in the future? So,
When did I start thinking about being an actor? Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I think relatively compared to a lot of people that I've worked with, I think a lot of people decided they wanted to act from a very early age. I actually didn't really. I sort of stumbled across acting when I was 17, and I was doing A-levels in the UK, which is your last 2 years of school, and you basically choose at least three subjects that you were going to sort of specialise in before university. And at that point in time, I wanted to be a physiotherapist and work with like sports injuries and sports recovery and stuff. And during my A-levels, one of the subjects I was doing I just was not enjoying. And so I dropped it, and then my tutors were like, you have to do a third subject. And I really didn't know what to do. And then my old English teacher came to me and she said, I'm running the theatre studies program, and I've got 12 girls and 1 boy, and I need some boys. And would you? And I was like, I'm going to stop you right there. You've got how many? 12 girls, 1 boy. Yeah, I'm in. So I then, for completely the wrong reasons, went to this theatre studies class, and I just kind of fell in love with it over the course of like the next few weeks. The stuff that we were doing in there, I just found it just really appealed to me. It also felt like it was something that I was good at. And that was it really. I got bitten by the bug. And I didn't really look back after that moment. There you go.
Well, we surely got bitten by something. And thank you for being here. We're still meeting our heroes today and tomorrow. And yes, Tom will be back tomorrow. Thanks.
Whoa!